I wanted to share this clip from my exclusive Patreon episode so you can get a taste. And if you want to see more, click the Patreon link in the description below and subscribe now. And what do you do for work, Billy?
I have been a nationally registered EMT paramedic for 15 years.
Are you still doing that?
Every day.
Oh, wow. All right. Okay. So that's what I was going to say. You wrote in saying you've been a paramedic of 15 years. I've had friends who've done this, and they used to they used to tell their stories and people would leave the parties. I'm not even kidding. Like, your buddy's over there telling stories about peeling people off of steering wheels. I'm like, yeah, he does that shit. He does that shit.
Yeah, it's a hazard of the job, man.
Well, let's hear some of your stories being a 15-year vet of an EMT.
All right. The first one, whenever somebody usually asks me what's one of the worst things I've ever seen, which is a common question, I usually lead with this one because this usually is a party stopper, so to speak. So I would say this was probably about 10 years ago. I had not been a paramedic for that long, maybe less than 2 or 3 years total time. And me and my partner were on the ambulance together. And we get a call for a patient, and literally the calls come across a computer that's inside of our ambulance. You know, it gives us addresses and usually gives us some basic call notes so we can kind of know what to expect when we're going to the call. And literally the call says, traumatic injury, patient has been cut by a helicopter blade. So my partner at the time, he was fairly new too.
Cut by a blade that's very fucking gentle, isn't it?
Well, it's very vague.
Yeah.
I mean, was this guy a mechanic working on the blade and just kind of cut himself, or was the blade turning, which turns into a whole nother thing? And so my partner looks at me and he's like, "What do you think?" I said, "This is either going to be really benign or this is going to be really, really bad." So we go to the call and we really don't get any updates as far as them coming over the radio or the computer and telling us anything. So we're really going into this call blind. And it's not at an airport, which is another thing that kind of threw me. It's actually at a residence. And
a residence?
So we pull into this, we pull up, we find the address, and it's a long gravel driveway. And there's a couple fire trucks down at the end of the driveway. So we pull down the driveway, and I mean, the minute the nose of our ambulance turns into this driveway, people start running at us, waving, yelling, and my partner turns and looks at me. He goes, "I'm going to go with this is bad." And I said, "Yeah."
Yeah.
I was like, that's a pretty fair assumption. And so we pull up, and I never will forget this, probably 17, 18, 19-year-old volunteer firefighter jumps on the running board of my ambulance as we're pulling up, and he basically screams at us. He goes, "Get your popcorn, boys. There's blood and meat everywhere."
Oh, what? That's what he said?
That was the first thing out of this kid's mouth.
Listen, you guys are a different breed. You're like the military people, God bless them. They've got a mindset where they're like, "Nah, I'm going over there and taking care of that shit." I understand. Right. I'm not built like that. But I get that a person is. You guys also. It ain't for me. But this dude's jumping on the side of the ambulance like he's going by, like, "Get fucking ready. This shit's wild up here, y'all." I mean, good God.
And so, that just kind of sets the tone. I'm thinking, what are we getting
to set the tone of this episode?
We jump out, grab all our gear. And now it's cold, it's raining. I mean, it's just a miserable
And how many people would you say, I just want to set the scene, I'm sorry, how many people are running up? Are there like a dozen people? Is it a handful?
Oh, I want to say it was like 3 or 4, maybe. It was basically the guys with the fire department. They were coming out to get us, to make sure that we were, that we knew where they were, and that this was serious.
And is the helicopter still spinning at this point?
No, not at this point.
Okay.
Not at this point. And so we get all our gear and we get it loaded on the stretcher, and we have a lot of gear because we have, obviously the stretcher, and then we have a bag that has all our medicine and monitor and just all kind of stuff. And so we get it around the house, and I remember rounding the corner of the house, and there was like a little hangar looking thing, like a little outbuilding. And there was the helicopter sitting there. And did you watch the show MASH?
Yeah, 4077,
okay,
bro.
Do you remember those helicopters they use, those little 2-man jobs that they kind of...
With that big-ass glass windshield thingy? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of what that helicopter looked like. It was like a I wouldn't say a homemade, but it was a very smaller helicopter. And around the corner of the house, and there's the helicopter sitting there. And as I'm walking up, I can see, there's people kind of crowded around this person over here. And I am literally walking over chunks of what I later found out to be human.
No!
It is. There's pieces of the helicopter. There's pieces of meat and flesh and just, and of course I'm kind of focused on the patient at this point, because in my mind, I haven't seen this patient move yet. I haven't, no one has told me they're breathing, they're not breathing. I have no idea what to expect. And so I get up next to the patient, and it's a probably late 50s, early 60s-year-old female. And she's laying on her back on the ground. Her eyes are closed. I kneel down and start, doing what I do, trying to assess her and seeing where all the injuries are. And I reach over and I pull my scissors out to start cutting her clothes off of her, because we have to get them what we call trauma naked, because we have to be able to see where all the injuries are. Mm-hmm. And just as I make the first cut, she opens her eyes and turns her head and looks at me. And she goes, "Hey, are you going to take me to the hospital?" And I kind of looked at her and I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." And because at that point, I had no idea she was even conscious. And so we get her, start talking to her. Lady's completely awake, alert. She knows everything. She's calm. And start cutting her, get her clothes off of her when I can see her injuries. And what had happened, she and the owner of the helicopter they were both older, and I think they had both been widowed recently, so they were dating. And so he was the pilot of the helicopter, and it had been nasty weather for 3 or 4 days. He couldn't fly. So he just rolls the helicopter out of the hangar and starts it to let it, for what he told us, just to let it idle. Well, she decides to go in and fix him a cup of coffee. She comes out of the hangar, and, from being a paramedic, we do a lot of life flight. We're around helicopters a good bit. So we're always trained. You always approach the helicopter from the front, and you never go behind what's called the horizontal stabilizer, which is on the tail of the helicopter. But this lady, she came out of the hangar. She was toting, 2 cups of coffee. She had on this very long, not like a duster, but like a very long, heavy blue jean jacket looking thing. And when she walked around the tail rotor of the helicopter, what she described to me was like the downdraft of the wind off the rotor kind of got under that jacket, and it literally just sucked her into the tail rotor.
No. It sucked her into the tail rotor? Holy shit.
There was pieces of tail rotor. The tail rotor was gone.
How is she talking? How is she even? How is her eyes even open and communicate? You're telling me this woman got chopped up by the tail and was answering questions correctly?
Answering questions correctly and making jokes.
It's my hero. That's my hero.
Oh, so I finally get the clothes off of her where we can actually assess her injuries to see. And it was her left side. The tail rotor, when she walked under it, the tail rotor hit her pretty much right on the shoulder. The first time it hit her, it made a very large laceration. It broke her collarbone. The second time it hit her just a little off the shoulder, and it basically filleted the arm. I mean, basically the tricep and bicep is just hanging. It didn't break the bone, and the arm was still intact. It then knocked her down onto all fours, and the rotor hit her again.
Not again.
It hit her 3 more times across the hip before it finally broke the rotor, completely off.
That, and then the rotor breaks from her body.
And then the rotor just explodes. I mean, it's gone. There's just, picture like a weed eater string getting broke. It just destroys it.